All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and today is a sad day because unfortunately Toyota has confirmed that 2025 will be the last model year of the A90 Supra. And this is sad for a lot of reasons. I know a lot of you guys that watch the channel are fans of the Supra. I am as well, but this is something that we've seen coming. You know, we've talked about it on the channel in the past. Sales are dropping off and sports cars just don't do well in this kind of market. So it was inevitable that it was going to get cut off soon. However, we've also talked about how Toyota always introduces new features and options every year to keep excitement up about their cars, and this year is no different. They've actually announced that they are going to have 2 new models coming out for the 2025 model year only to kind of send off the Supra, and that includes the GRMN Supra that we've been getting spy shots of, teasers, and everybody's been speculating what it's going to be. Well, the cars that we've seen testing at the Nürburgring is a reality, and it's finally been released with pictures and more details on what's going to be in that car. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the details in this video in case you guys are interested. Hopefully not too many of you are interested because these cars will be very difficult to come by, but it's still just cool to see Toyota send off the Supra on a high note. So let's go ahead and talk about it, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. So like I said, 2025 will be the last model year of the Supra, and the good news is if you guys just want a regular Supra, that will still be available to you. So you can still get a 3.0 or a 3.0 Premium, spec it how you want, order it at your dealership or get one off the dealer lot. That's still completely an option for any and everybody. However, these 2 new vehicles that are going to be coming out are very exciting, and Toyota has finally shared the details on them, so let's go ahead and run through the list. The first one they are calling the partially upgraded Supra, also known as the lightweight Evo. They said that it's going to have optimized tuning, which I'm not sure it's going to be any different. It looks like the horsepower and torque are the same as the other 3.0s, so it'll have 382 horsepower. You know, same thing we've been getting for the past couple years, but according to them, they fine-tuned it a little bit for drivability. It'll also have upgraded brakes with bigger front rotors. It's going to have updated suspension tuning, so the dampening will be fine-tuned. Again, every year they say they're making a tweak with this stuff, so that's going to be something you probably won't notice unless you've had like a really old Supra or it's worn out, but they continue to try to make the suspension better. It's also going to have a stiffer front sway bar, so that should help reduce body roll, but that can induce understeer. So they also updated the ELSD tuning so that the car will basically get around turns better. So it'll combat that stiffer front sway bar so that you can still get good rotation and handling from the Supra that it's, you know, kind of known for. It's also going to have stiffer bushings for the sway bar and the subframe. It's also going to have updated steering tuning, so it should have a more direct feel, maybe a little bit stiffer. It's also going to have more camber front and rear, so that will help improve its traction when going around turns. And then it's also going to have some updated aero. So they mentioned the front wheel arches will have higher front tire spats to kind of get the airflow around the sides of the car. And it'll have a carbon rear ducktail spoiler. And then of course some red accents in the interior because that's what actually makes a car fast. Now, I do think it's weird they're calling this the lightweight Evo because not a lot of this seems like it's making the car lightweight. You know, bigger rotors, more mass on the sway bars and things. It's not really going to make the car lighter, but either way, it should make it a better handling car and still virtually look the same from the exterior. But let's go ahead and talk about what we're really interested in, the GRMN Supra. And I think some things have gotten lost in translation, but GRMN stands for Gazoo Racing Masters of the Nürburgring. So while a lot of you guys have seen these Supras getting crazy, tuned with big turbos, getting 7-second quarter miles, everybody was thinking that it was going in that direction for some reason. They were like, oh, maybe it'll get the S58 engine and all-wheel drive and like, you know, a G80 M3 drivetrain. But straight line racing was never the point of the Supra. It has always been designed primarily with handling in mind. And kind of like the name suggests, this is designed to be the best performer around a road course, or in this case specifically, the name implies the Nürburgring. Now, one other thing is, while it was always kind of teased as a GRMN Supra in the past, the actual name for it is the Final Edition. So the A90 Supra Final Edition is what it's going to be called. Nothing is actually referencing the GRMN name. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the details again. So starting off, same B58 engine, it is the 6-port version. However, they revised the intake path, and they also mentioned that they're running a low back pressure cat, which, as far as I can tell, is basically a high flow downpipe. And so that allowed them to tune it further, and now it's going to be making 429 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. So the only B58 out there that's going to be tuned to over 400 horsepower from what I can tell from the factory. Next, it's also going to come with upgraded Brembo brakes, which are going to have 395 millimeter rotors. These are huge, much bigger than what you can get on the current Supra, but keep in mind that the 395 millimeter brake option is available on other BMWs, like my X7 has 395 millimeter brakes. So I think this might be a little bit of the parts bin action where existing G Series cars can use these brakes, and even though it's never been fitted on a Supra, now's the time to put the biggest brakes possible. So they're going to be using those brakes on this Supra, and maybe that's something that we can retrofit on older Supras as long as you have wheels that fit it. It's also going to come with stainless steel brake lines, and they mentioned that it's going to come with the GT4 KW suspension that's going to have adjustable compression and rebound. So now we're getting into the really cool stuff, because parts that are on the race car are going to be kind of coming down to the regular A90 that anybody can order. It's going to have a lot of adjustment that's designed for the road course. So if you know what you're doing, this will really help you fine tune your suspension to get the best handling possible. It's also going to have a stiffer front sway bar like the Lightwave Evo, but it's also going to have a stiffer rear sway bar. And then in tune with this, they are going to be updating the ELSD programming as well. So again, those of you guys that like a tail-happy car, this should maintain those driving characteristics. It's also going to have stiffer bushings in the control arm, and they're using the same solid mounts from the GT4 on the rear subframe. So again, a much more direct driving feel and giving you much better performance when you need it most. It's also going to come with Michelin Cup 2 tires, so it's finally coming with an R-Comp option. So that's going to be basically as sticky as it gets before you move to, basically a dedicated slick. And it's going to be wider than the current wheels. So you're going to have 265 millimeter front tires and 285 millimeter rear tires. And those rear tires are going to be mounted on a 20-inch wheel instead of a 19-inch wheel. And then they've also upgraded the car to improve its reliability around the road course. So they are adding baffling to the oil pan, and that will help support the higher Gs that they expect you can handle with all of these upgrades that'll allow you to get around turns faster. And they're also improving the cooling. So they've upgraded the radiator fan so that it can flow more air. They've also added a sub radiator, which my understanding is it's basically the equivalent of the oil cooler underneath the M2 and M3 and M4. I'm guessing that's where this is, but all they're saying is an additional sub radiator. So where that will be, we'll kind of have to see. And then they're also adding larger fins to the rear diff. So if you're going to be working it harder, you definitely want more cooling back there, and the larger fins will let the airflow get more heat out of your diff fluid. It's also going to be coming with an upgraded exhaust from Akrapovic, which I think is going to be pretty neat. So now we'll have a titanium muffler on these cars that should be able to bring out the best noise possible. And it's also going to come with this matte black paint. So you can see from the pictures, it looks really aggressive. It's got this front lip with a rear spoiler as well as some canards. So just overall, a really aggressive looking vehicle that's reminiscent of the GT4, designed to give you more downforce and more cooling so that you can get the best performance on a track. And then on the interior, so they've got a lot of upgraded interior bits. They've got Alcantara on the steering wheel, the seats, the doors, the center console, and the shift knob. So a much higher quality interior. And they've got these crazy Recaro carbon bucket seats, which you only see in most of the limited production, like higher tier vehicles, but now you can even get it in an A90 Supra. So yeah, again, the interior looks crazy. The exterior looks insane. I think Toyota just put it all in on this last Supra, and they called it the final edition for a reason. So very happy to see what they've done with this car. Now, I think the biggest downside is availability. This car will only be available in Japan and Europe. I think there are a lot of reasons for that. One big one is probably emissions with this high flow downpipe or whatever they did to reduce the back pressure in the cat. It might not be allowed in the US. Also, the seats and some of the other options that they put in these cars tend to not be street legal in the US. So that very well could be a reason that they're doing this. But also, Toyota wants to limit some vehicles to Japan only. So not something that we haven't heard of, but in this case, I think, you know, with only 300 vehicles being made, it would be almost impossible to get it here anyway. Now, the lightweight Evo, they did say will be a global vehicle. I'm not positive it's coming to the US, but it will be going to other countries other than just, you know, Japan and some European countries. So we'll have to see how this rolls out. You know, they said it'll stagger the release to different countries over time, but everything will be coming to Japan. So for those of you guys over there, definitely get your hands on one and please bring one over so we can see what it looks like in person. But yeah, either way, really cool just to see this finally come out. All the speculation and stuff can be put to rest, and we know exactly what this car is, how they did it, you know, what's going to be available. And moving forward, I hope to see some reviews to see how it actually performs on track. So let me know what you guys think. Is this what you were expecting? You know, were you expecting it to be faster or slower? Or did you just think it wasn't even going to happen at all? I'm honestly kind of surprised that anything was even there, but with the spy shots and stuff, it was clear that something was going to be coming, and I'm happy that it's finally a reality. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.